Oi you, it's time for another episode of Dorothy and the Dealer. Let's tune into the conversation.
It's funny, you know, when you're driving through India and you're listening to Hindi music, and it's actually, you know, you look out the window and you see the bustle of people everywhere, and you can, you know, it's polluted and it's smelly, and then you have this in the background, this woman singing in a really high-pitched Indian voice. It's actually really quite magical, but I couldn't spout off any of their lyrics.
We're trying to think of something Indian to start as our song, because we're going to talking about India. So have you got anything?
No, you know that's a.
I know that song very well, but it's instrumental.
I know. Is that Prem? Is that Prem Joshua?
That's Prem Joshua.
Yeah, which is.
And the reason I know it very well is because it's the background music in our seminars. So I can just hear it now that you've said it. It's going to be playing in the background of my mind.
I think it's playing in
and
the
background. And it's going to
be
the soundtrack of my day now.
Yeah, I think it's playing in the background next week.
It will be. But do you have any Indian, anything that we could use as a song to reflect India?
You know
is that from like Best Exotic Marigold Hotel?
Such a good movie.
They're so good. They're such good movies.
Well, India, I'm just a fucking biggest fan of India.
I know you are.
I just fucking love India.
Somebody was saying to me the other day they watched our podcast from India not long before we announced the India trip or something like that. And yeah, it was cool. I was going to say, so we're actually, the reason we're talking about India and getting all nostalgic about India is because of Shantaram, just been released on Apple TV, the series. How long have we been waiting to see video representation of one of our favourite books?
Well, it changed. I mean, I remember the first time I was told to go and read a book.
Who told you to read it? I don't actually know who.
Greg told me to read it.
Was it Greg?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Greg had said so, and I think that was like 2002, maybe 2003.
It was a long time ago.
He was seeing me as a client, and he'd been with me.
No, it wouldn't have been that long ago.
Yeah, I think it was.
I'm going to check while you're talking.
Just check
to see if it was even released back then. It probably was.
But he had said to me, you know. He had said to me, have you read Shantaram? And I'm like, no. And he looked at me and he said to me, it's the greatest book you'll ever read in your life. And I'm like, really? And he goes, man, it's amazing. And he goes, all you have to do is read the first page. And I'm like, right, it's that good? He goes, mate, you won't put it down. He said, it's very big. He said, it's about 980 odd pages. And he said, it's huge. But he said, it's a literary masterpiece. And it's funny, I was talking to Kirby the other day and she was like, no, it's just, no, it's not. I just don't like it. I don't like his style of writing. And you either like Gregory David Roberts' style of writing or you fucking don't. But the story is just incredible.
That's very cool.
So good. And the whole story behind him writing the story is incredible. There's so much that people don't realize about, you know, what happened, how many times he attempted to write the book. How many times the book had been destroyed, you know, through his experiences in prison, etc., etc. Though he'd wrote the book and then the guards came in and burnt it, and then he wrote it again, and then then it got destroyed again, and then it got stolen, all sorts of stuff.
It's not a 100% true representation of stuff. It's literary fiction.
It's literary fiction, yeah.
So it's some of it is based on reality, and some of it is fictional.
But the cool, I mean, of course, I think that I wanted it to be non-fiction. I wanted
it to be real.
Yeah. Totally. When you read the book, you're just like, you want to be. But you know, the whole thing about breaking out of Pentridge prison, all that sort of stuff. I mean, he was one of the first and the only two people to ever break out of Pentridge. And you know, the story about him them going and seeing his buddy and them giving him a passport and some cash, and him ending up in India.
Do you know, though, happened. I can't actually remember. So you and I read books differently. When you read a book, you read every single word. So you actually retain every little thing that happens. I don't read books like that. I read them, like I still get the message of what's happened, but I sort of skim. And so I can read books a second time and I'll pick up new things, whereas you never go back and read a book a second time because you've read it. You take in a lot of it. So now that I'm watching the series, I've literally forgotten a lot of the detail. Like I don't know whether the detail in the series is the same as what's in the book. So it's making me want to go and read the book again.
I watched the first series.
The first episode?
The first episode about 4 nights ago, and halfway through the first episode, I was like, "Oh, I have to read the book again."
Yeah,
I
I was thinking I want to read the book again. Yeah.
It's like if you play a video game, and afterwards, as much as the video game is really entertaining, and it swallows your attention and your consciousness and your brain and your mind, and it makes you do things. But afterwards, I feel fucking guilty. I feel like, oh my God, I feel like I've wasted time. But it's one of the only books I've ever read that I never afterwards felt, could I have been doing something else? Should I have been putting my time somewhere else? Because that's how I feel when I read books. Especially,
really?
Especially if it's just, if it's just fiction, and it's just escapism. That's what I feel. Because I
love that.
I know, but
you're not like that.
I'm not like that. Yeah. But so it was one of the only books that I read that I didn't experience that. Where afterwards I was like, wow, that was I feel like he has taken me in. Being to India, I feel like he's so well articulated what the sensory experience is, and how rich a sensory experience it is when you're in India, and to get that down on paper in word form was like fucking incredible.
It was insane.
It was sensational.
So I hate to admit when you're right, but you were actually right. It was published in 2003.
Right.
So that means, did you read it after India? You must have read it after, because you went to India for the first time at the end of 2003 and then at the beginning of 2004.
Yes, I think
so. You must have read it after your first India trip.
Yes.
Then I read it after that. At some point.
Yeah.
I would have read it 2004, 2005 then maybe.
I read it perhaps. Yeah, you're right.
Wow.
It would have to be. Obviously, it would have to be.
But that's like 19 years ago that was released now. And it's been like such a journey just watching So one of the things I wanted to do when I went, because obviously the series doesn't depict it doesn't say the name of the cafe that was very big over there at the time.
I think they've probably done that. I think they've probably done that purposely.
Oh, probably to make sure that not everybody occupies and goes in there. It's such a small little place. I went. So the year was it 2008? The year you got married. We had an India trip afterwards. You went to India for your honeymoon, and then straight after we travelled India. So I spent a few days in Bombay and went to now Mumbai and went to Leopold's. It was Leopold's at the time, and the way it's depicted in the book, it's like this massive place, and it was this tiniest. And you came and did it. I think was it maybe not the last trip, the trip before, or maybe it was the last trip you came. Maybe it was 2020 that you came to. It was 2020 that you came to Leopold's for the first time, and it was much smaller than you thought it was going to be based on how the book depicted it, right?
Yeah.
But it's iconic.
It was cool to go in there and realize. I think they've in the series. I think they've done a really, really good job of capturing all of the individual characters. I think that they've really done a good job of taking it from the book and building that character into a person in Leopold's. I think that the guy that dresses as the cowboy, I think that's exactly how I saw it in my mind.
See, that's where I don't remember. I just don't remember.
Oh, really?
I don't remember. I remember big details. I don't remember little details, so I don't remember that.
But the other thing is,
read it again.
the other thing is that also how when you read the book, it's like it feels like he's only feeding you what he knows is going on in terms of the mafia and what's happening in Mumbai, right? It's like he has you feeling as if there's something much fucking greater to the story, and you want to know all the way through the book what is going on. Like he's really only saying to you, this is all I can work out. It's all.
You're saying he doesn't give it to you all at once?
Well, no, what I'm saying is that he's giving it to you all at once, but his all at once and what is all at once are two different things.
Got it, yeah.
And so therefore, as he explains his all at once, you have this appetite to want to know, okay, what is going on with Kandahar? What is going on with that character? And you can tell how he is able to depict why these people let him in tells so much about his character in the series and in the actual movie, you know, and in the actual book. How that rolls out, you know, it was just so masterful, and they have definitely captured that in the series, and I'm so glad that they have. Do you know what I mean? That they've been able to capture that, where you can tell there's something much greater going on, but you don't know what's going on, and you can tell that what is going on is so dangerous, you know. And there's so many characters involved, and you know, I just think
you
it's
love
just,
it.
Oh, I love it. It's just brilliant.
But I remember you telling me about the fact that not only was it India and the essence of India, but it was also the conversations and the level of conversation, and the fact that they would talk about like all this stuff that was like the universe, you know, they have these big conversations, and that you really, really loved that aspect of the book as well. Yeah. There was one part of the book, I'm going to admit, that I didn't love. I was in the middle, and it took me a minute to get through that. Like, I put the book down a few times, and then once I got through that, like, there was a beginning I loved and the end I loved, but there was a part, maybe about in the middle, 3/4 of the way through or something, where he's in a particular place and it just didn't align with me at the time or something, and I just wasn't keen on it. So I think that now, once watching the series, that I'll go back and read the book again, because I think it'll be cool, you know, a good thing.
Yeah,
and so do you like the series then? Because I haven't
look,
spoken to you about that
I
yet.
think I know that at the beginning they were talking about a different Australian actor. I can't remember who the guy is. He was in Avatar. So he's the guy that was the cripple in Avatar. They were talking about him playing the role of Lynn. Yeah. And I think they obviously that chap's name was Sam Worthington. Yeah, so Sam Worthington was originally, and I thought, fucking great actor. Really, really clever actor to have in there. And I don't know, I don't know if
Charlie.
What's his surname?
Hanman.
I don't know whether he's an Aussie. But
he's not. His accent.
But but fuck, his Aussie accent is very good.
Do you think it's good? A lot of people are saying it's not good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's not good.
I don't know.
You like it?
Yeah, I think. But I'm Irish Australian, so I think I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But
he's easy to look at, though.
Yeah, but also I think the role that he is playing is being played very well. Yeah, I think they really chose. You know, if you get someone who's a way more famous actor, you know, I think that you have to, they have to overact in that scenario. It kind of feels like the role he's playing, he's really fighting inside of himself to honor Lynn's character. Do you know what I mean? Right. And I fucking love that. I sit back and I think, mate, you're really giving this your everything.
I don't mind how he's acting that either. I think he's doing a good job. What about the guy who plays... what about Kandahar. The character? No. What's his name? Prabhu.
I think he's brilliant. I would have probably saw Prabhu as a little bit shorter, which I don't know why I fucking said that, and probably not having the hair split in the middle, but you know, and maybe I saw Prabhu as you know, tight haircut, shorter. But
like
the
that
guy,
slicked back Indian hairstyle.
But the thing, you know, #1 tour guide in India.
Yeah,
that's exactly what the fuck they do. You know, I am #1 tour guide in India. Please, what do you need? Some hashish, some heroin. What do you need? You know. So I think that role, you know, is excellent. I think they have obviously had to show the slums as a lot cleaner than perhaps they. I know that they are. You know,
I think some of it was filmed in Australia, or a lot of it was filmed in Australia, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
I don't know about the slums because I think that, but yeah, a lot of it was filmed in Australia.
But the other thing that I loved was the experience where Prabhu takes him home and gives him and feeds him that night, and he goes, "Best dal in all of Mumbai." My neighbor makes it, and then sits down and feeds him the dal, and the minute he dips into it. Because you know that the best food you're going to get is from a slum, you know, because they are genuine, you know, they don't want to get sick, but they're genuine, you know, cooks. These are people that this is how they've cooked for, millennia.
That's-
It's not influenced as much by our food as with the West.
Yeah.
And some of the best food that we have had has been at somebody's home.
Yeah.
Where you go, fucking hell, how? Like, that is just sensory overload. My mouth is just having a party. It's just like, wow,
I remember the last trip to India, I took my nephew, Mark. He loves Indian food. He
Right.
has an Indian buddy that he grew up with. And, he loves going out for Indian, but he loved going to his place for Indian because he would, we went to the Taj before everybody else. And we, one of those dingy places on the side of the road, but
Yeah.
it's clean, but it's not, it's literally a food court. Like it's Australia's equivalent to a food court. It cost us maybe about $5, not even, to get him a full Indian meal. And
Yeah.
he was literally in heaven. He was like, this meal from like the food from the side of a road in India is like 1,000 times better than any Indian I've had when I've been home. And he won't eat Indian food now.
Oh, really?
He doesn't like it because he says it's just not the same.
Not the same. So
It's not
you
the same.
think about one of those places that, we bring the clients in India where we rush them. There's a doorway. It's in Jaipur. There's a door, part of the Red City. There's a door that the coach pulls up, and it's fucking filthy. It's like there's fucking dead dogs over here. There's fucking cows everywhere. You get out and you're just overwhelmed with this pungent smell, pungent stench, and then you run through this archway that's probably 500 years old, and as you run through, it's just a human waste it's fucking disgusting. And then they take you back into this open yard, and then they take you through another archway, and now suddenly you're in this restaurant, and the restaurant is outside and inside, and they have dancers there and music, and it's absolutely, it's all inside and outside, and it's absolutely spotless. And you don't want to stick your head into the kitchen. Fucking don't ever do that. But the food they are bringing you out is just mind-blowing. You are just sitting there, and it's steel plates. It's all dished up, and it is like exquisite food. And it is in the most, like in Australia, it would just never happen. It would just never, ever, ever happen because they'd be shut down in a minute. But what you're being fed there, and I've eaten there now for, it'll be 19 years. 19 years.
First time we went.
Yeah, 19 years. And I'll be eating there for 19 years. And I know that every time I go in there and I'm walking the clients through that archway, they're looking at me going, where the fuck are you taking us? This is just, oh my God, this is just, because it's just urine and human
That's what
shit
India
and-
is. It's just such a dichotomy. You've got the beauty, like in one eyeful, one image, you see beauty and ugliness, richness and poorness. You see every opposite in one scene, and that's why it's very confronting for people to be in that space. But once you learn how to navigate it, it's actually just one of the most beautiful experiences you'll ever have.
Oh, man.
So beautiful. I can't wait to go back. And seeing that, like watching Shantaram and
Yeah.
seeing that and listening to the music, and you can almost smell the place when you're there. You can literally feel like, I know what this place would smell like, and I know what this place would smell like. Do you know what I mean? You just feel like I can't wait.
It's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. So I just wonder, like, how come something, and I don't know. I think it's yeah, why wouldn't I like going back to Bali? But there's only so much time I can do it in Bali. There's only so many beach clubs and da because it's it's not real. Do you know what I mean? You go into a beach club, it's not real. This is not a real environment. This is an environment that is built to feed your desires, to eat food, drink alcohol, swim, and hang out socially, and then get out. As soon as you run out of money, you're out. But over there, it's different. Because
Yeah.
it's so real. It's such raw, unforgiving life. It's mind-boggling, why people come out of there and want to go back. Some people don't. But and why I would miss it. Like, I live in a beautiful part of the world. Why would I miss it? And I think part of the reason that I miss it is because it is so rich there.
Well, it's like we speak to the clients about, it forces you to go inside. So you can't live that masked life that you live here. You can't get around India unless You pay for 5-star quality,
Yeah.
and you're like literally shielded away from it all, and you just don't look. So like that's a saying that we say often the times that sometimes people pay for the privilege not to look. So unless you're going to India in that way and you're doing that type of luxury, and it's there in India, it's possible.
Yep.
You have to look. You can't. You're forced to because you're walking amongst it. You're walking with the people. So you have to get past all the shite, literally, and get to the truth of what's actually going on. And that's what I love. That's
And
what
I don't think obviously you ever really get to the truth of it.
No, of course not.
Of the
but
place,
you get
'cause
to
it's just.
But I'm talking about maybe the truth of an individual or the truth of a scenario or something like that. If you can look past, what's happening or what's being said to you or what it appears to look like on the outside. You see the kids begging and you see it looks like this might be this and it might be terrible and horrible. But when you look beyond that, you see more and you see the beauty in their eyes and you see the happiness that they have and you see the role that they're playing and the fact that they actually are well fed and this is the type of life that it's just there's so much to even just saying it sounds a little bit like I don't know, what are you talking about? But when you're there, something happens where you start if you want to look, something happens where you start to see beyond what you're shown, beyond the mask or beyond the image that seems to be appearing before your eyes. Do you know what I mean?
It's so lawless as well. That's part of the adventure. It's just so fucking lawless. Like it's so safe, but it's so dangerous. It's like it's
a bit of both.
It's really is a crazy bit of both. And I was just thinking the other day, I would when I remember going in and to Leopold's and thinking. I'd love if he walked in because I know he lives there. I'd love if he walked in, and he used to sit on one of the tables with 2 knives and a gun, fucking strapped underneath the fucking table, and those tables are still there, those chairs are still there, and that's how he operated. He was a full blown Indian gangster. It's crazy.
You've taken the book out of here, the book that he signed for you. Where have you put it?
I put it at home. I brought it home yesterday, and Ange said to me, "Oh my God, I haven't seen that in years." And I said, "Well, I want to bring it home now. I think it's time for it. The kids are old enough that they're not going to break it," and just put it up on the wall. And that's it. That was a cool little story. About years ago, when I read the book, I actually rang my mate who owned the Inspiration Factory in Subiaco, and I said, "Look, buy 40 copies of the book. I'm going to send all my clients around and put it in." So she bought 40 copies, but put the copies in her window. And then a guy walks in one day and he goes, "Why have you got my book in the window?" And she's like, "Holy shit, are you Gregory David Roberts?" And he goes, "Yeah." And she then tells him my story. And he was like, "Wow." And he goes, and she said, "And he's just read your book." And he wanted his clients to read the book. He rang me and told me that every one of my clients needs to read this book. And he goes, "Well, look, let me do something for him." And he signs the book, and then he gets a photograph holding the book and gives me his email address. And that was just, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so starstruck." And he just sold the rights to the book.
That particular day, he was happy because he just sold the rights to the book.
The rights to the movie.
Rights to the movie, sorry.
To not Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp, but it had been between Johnny Depp and
Guy Ritchie.
No, it's the other guy from what's the movie he's originally from? American History X.
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton. So Edward Norton and
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp had been haggling to get the rights to the book, and in the end, he sold it to Johnny Depp, and then Johnny Depp then sold it on to
because it was a process because that was years and years and years ago.
Yeah,
and it's been a process because the rights I think have been moved on over
but
time.
I think now it's the guy who's done Trainspotting is producing it.
I don't know.
I think it's the guy who's done Train. It ended up being taken from Madonna's ex-husband's hands to
this guy.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to watching. I've only actually watched the first 3 episodes so far. There's more out, but I've only watched the first 3. But I'm looking forward to finishing it and then reading the book again at some point.
Yeah,
cool,
awesome.
Just wants you to
watch it.
Makes you want to go home.
Watch it. Even if you live the most extraordinary life, there is always more to learn. This is why tens of thousands of people are using MJB Seminars techniques to hack their consciousness and bridge the gap from where they are to where they actually want to be.
MJB seminars use cutting-edge transformational processes that are science-based and backed to help people break through subconscious barriers and limiting beliefs in order to reset, reboot, and live inspired. If you'd like to know more today, Google search MJB Seminars Bridge the Gap, click on the first link and watch the video.
Now, for simply watching the video, you will also receive a complimentary coaching session with one of our master coaches valued at over $600 to help you get traction in your life today. Remember, live life inspired.